my beauties, welcome to part 2 of the eyeshadow palette declutter. This is gonna be a gigantic declutter because I feel like I'm decluttering maybe around 30-40% of my eyeshadow palettes, which was my goal, to declutter as much as I possibly can. And I really hope you guys have seen part 1. If you haven't, I'm gonna go ahead and link it down below so you guys can check out part 1 before you start part 2. But pretty much what we're doing is we have 3 different piles. We have a keep it pile, we have a maybe pile, and then we're gonna have a declutter pile that we're gonna kind of go through my eyeshadow palettes and go ahead and sort them into those 3 groups. And then the maybe pile will kind of decide at the end of this video which ones I should give, which ones I should donate. And I will be doing a slightly used eyeshadow palette giveaway for you guys. If you guys are interested in my decluttered palettes, let me know in the comments down below, and I am going to be doing that giveaway palette video. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Here we go. This palette by Lorac, this is the Unzipped Rose Gold palette. One of my absolute holy grail palettes. There's no way I would ever declutter this one. I feel like it's absolutely amazing pigmentation, my type of shades. This is actually the only palette I have ever bought a second palette of, and I just love these shadows. It's one of my top 5 eyeshadow palettes out there, and so this one is definitely staying with me. So I'm gonna throw it back to my keep pile. One of my all-time favorite, one of my top 3 favorite eyeshadow palettes from Colourpop is the Give It To Me Straight palette. These are the shadows, and I just absolutely love this palette from Colourpop. This is my favorite, one of my top 3 favorite eyeshadow palettes from Colourpop. I absolutely love it. I feel like it has all the necessities. It has a light, it has a dark, it has beautiful shimmers, more neutral shades, beautiful in the crease color, and I just love this palette. So it's gonna go ahead and stay. Same thing with the Dream Street palette by Kathleen Lights. This is probably like my 3rd favorite eyeshadow palette by Colourpop. I do really enjoy like the little bit of a different twist in this palette with like this deep blue, this shimmery like sea blue, and then this really beautiful shimmer. I mean, it's a great quality overall. I do like the packaging, and this is probably my 3rd favorite palette from Colourpop, so this one's gonna go ahead and stay. Next palette is a newer addition to my collection. This is the Born to Run palette. I really do enjoy this palette. I feel like it has everything you may possibly need when you're going on vacation, traveling. I really think they hit the goal of this palette, which is to take it when you're traveling. I think you have all the necessities for any type of occasion or look, and I do really enjoy it. I would recommend it, and I am going to go ahead and keep it for a little bit longer. Next, let's go ahead and move on to the Anastasia Beverly Hills eyeshadow palettes. Modern Renaissance, of course, is one of like cult favorites of hers. And this is what it looks like. I do keep mine in boxes because they do tend to get dirty because it has like the mesh packaging. But this is what this one looks like. And this one is such a dupe for the BH Cosmetics, this palette right here, that I am going to be doing a dupes video, but I am definitely going to keep this one. I've gotten a lot of use out of it. I do really enjoy the formula, and the shadows are beautiful, so this one's going to stay. And so is this one. This is a newer palette of hers. I decided I'm not going to be buying the Norvina palette for myself because I don't know, it's just not calling my name. And so I am going to be keeping this one. This is a more neutral palette of hers that did come out this year, right? Yeah, I think so. And I do really enjoy it. I haven't played around with it too much, but it has more of my types of shades, so I am going to go ahead and keep this one for now. And the last one is the Subculture palette that I still have of hers. This is what it looks like. I feel like this palette has gotten a lot of different like hate, but I personally do really enjoy it. I almost don't want to get rid of it, but I don't use it enough to like enjoy it that much. But I did really get a lot of use out of this palette, so I'm gonna be going ahead and passing this one along, even though I do enjoy the different colors that were selected in this palette, and I did really like it in general. But I am going to be passing this one along because this is a declutter, a massive declutter. I am going to bring all the Kat Von D eyeshadow palettes that I have, and I think I'm honestly going to keep every single one of her palettes. I really do like her formula. I gave all the ones that I didn't use away already. This is one of my favorite like matte neutral palettes of hers. This is the only really pastel rainbow palette I have. This is the Pastel Goth. Really do enjoy the shadows. I've created some really fun looks with this palette. Then we have the Metal Matte Mini palette, which in all honesty, I don't really use this one as much as I would like to use it. So I think I'm going to put it in the maybe pile and then decide, because I might use it for a little bit longer and then pass it on. We'll see. We'll kind of debate on it. So it's in the maybe pile for now. This is the original Metal Matte palette that came out on one of the holiday seasons, and I just love it. I love everything about this palette, and I don't think I can get rid of this palette. I do really enjoy the shades. I have gotten a lot of beautiful looks out of this palette, and so I'm gonna go ahead and keep this one. Now this one, the Saints and Sinners palette, as creative as it is, I don't know, I haven't been honestly like using it a lot. It does have some really fun pops of color, but like I said, I have not been using this one a lot. Shoot, I don't know what to do. Do I keep it? Do I pass it on? You know what? I might go ahead and keep this one and pass the Metal Matte Mini palette away. Actually, I don't know, because I don't reach for this one. So should I keep it for it to just sit here? Honestly, I'm gonna go ahead and keep this one for just a little bit longer just to play around with it, and I'm gonna go ahead and give this one away. I think that's fair, so let's go ahead and continue. This palette is the Pat McGrath palette. I do like the shadows. I don't think they're worth this price. I think this is a great palette, as in quality wise. It has beautiful shimmers. I don't think like I can get a full look out of this palette because I just need more like transition shades to create a look. But I have created like a one shadow look before with this color right here. So I mean, I'm just gonna keep it just because I spent a lot of money on it and I just don't want to get rid of it yet. And the main reason why I bought it is for the packaging, because I really enjoyed this like artwork on this palette. So that's the main reason why I purchased it, but I just don't use it. But I will keep it for just a little bit longer just to maybe force myself to use it a little more. Next palette, the Marc Jacobs palette. This is one of his, I don't know what these are called. Do they have a name? I don't know. This is the Scandalous 740 palette, the iconic shadow palettes. This is my favorite one. I pretty much swatched all of them at the store, and this is the one that like kind of spoke to me and that I was drawn to. I really do like the formula. I really do like the looks that I came up with this palette. It's a really beautiful neutral palette in my opinion. Yes, it's pricey, but you're kind of paying for, you know, the name, and you know, the packaging is really sleek and classy. So I'm gonna go ahead and hold on to this palette. Next, moving on, I'm gonna go ahead and go through these tiny palettes. So this is the Smashbox matte mini palette. I really do like it. I don't really use it, even though it's cute, and I was like obsessed with collecting little tiny palettes, like eyeshadow palettes and face palettes for a while, because I do really think they're so cute and you can just put them in your makeup bag. But I really don't get any use out of this palette in particular, so I'm gonna pass it along. This Tarte's Tease palette, I haven't really used either, and this is another one of those palettes where I think I'm gonna go ahead and keep, you know, to put in my makeup bag, but I end up not using it. Like, I rather just throw in like an individual Colourpop shadow than like have this, and then you need brushes as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of this one. The Pro To Go, I think this is the only one I'm gonna keep out of the miniature palettes, just because I can get like a full look out of this one, and I haven't really used it much. So I'm gonna go ahead and keep this one for now. Then we have the Too Faced Chocolate Bar Mini Palette. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this one, even though it has a really nice Chocolate Soleil bronzer in here. I just don't use it. And yes, I was keeping it for the cuteness of it, but I'm going to go ahead and pass it along. This one is the Party Animal by Laura Lee palette. This one came in the most recent Boxy Charm. I don't know if I'm gonna go ahead and use this one. I am keeping like the Urban Decay and other ones, so I feel like I'm gonna go ahead and pass this one along. Then this one is also an eyeshadow palette that came from a Boxy Charm. It has beautiful, stunning shades, but I don't really get any use out of it, so I'm gonna go ahead and pass it along. All right, we're getting through this. I'm so excited. This is my favorite Naked 3 palette, or Naked palette. I love the rose gold shades. Even though it's a very monochromatic look that you can get out of this palette, I still enjoy like these shades. And my original absolute favorite, of course, this is my first or like oldest eyeshadow palette ever, and this is the original Naked palette. I have used this eyeshadow palette probably the most out of any eyeshadow palettes that I have, because it was one of my like first few eyeshadow palettes, and so these two are definitely going to stay in my collection. And so is this Lorac Pro palette. I think this is my favorite Lorac Pro palette. It's very neutral, very like monochromatic, but it's a great just neutral palette, and I do really enjoy the quality of these. And I gave all my other Lorac palettes away, so I'm going to be keeping this one. And this is one of my favorite Zoeva palettes. This is the Cocoa Bland. This is what it looks like on the inside. It's a little bit on the warmer toned. I haven't really like played around with it enough to pass it along, so I am going to be keeping this one. Moving on, this is a stack of like customized eyeshadow palettes, so I'm going to keep them all for now, but let me show you guys. So this is like a Colourpop Z palette that I have. Then this is one from Inglot, and I do really enjoy Inglot shades. I feel like they have amazing formula, really cool kind of packaging as well, because this is like a magnetic Z palette. This one is a little bit kind of all my remaining shadows that I don't really even use. I need to kind of declutter this on its own, but I am gonna keep it for now. And this is the number 2 palette from the 2 palettes I kind of used on a daily. So this is one of my absolute holy grail palettes that I created myself. I was planning on doing a video on this palette just to kind of go through all the shadows with you guys, because mainly these are Makeup Geek shadows that are the foiled shadows that are some of my absolute holy grail formula. Then we have some Colourpop. I think there's a couple Anastasia Beverly Hills singles in here. And this palette is literally on top of my vanity. I use it every time I don't really want to think of a look. I'll just grab this palette and use all these like neutral, beautiful, like foiled shadows. So I love this palette for sure. And this is like the remaining shades that I didn't have room for. I put a couple Makeup Geek bronzers in here, or contour shades, and then I have the rest of the singles in here. So this one is going to stay with me for now. Oh, and then I have one more Z palette, which is like this little tiny hollow palette. And I kind of just put shades in here that are remaining or that we get in like subscriptions, just because, you know, I need to put them somewhere. So that's that. Now moving on, the only other 2 customized palettes are the Buxom ones. This is another format of a palette where you can pick the individual singles and kind of put them in together. I really do enjoy this one. I used to use it a lot. Now this one is not even filled. I'm missing one. I'm not sure what happened with this one. And honestly, I don't even use it, but like I really want to get that one single shadow so then I can give it to someone as like a full palette. But I don't really use it, so I should pass it along. So I'm just going to put it in this maybe pile for now. Then we have a couple other eyeshadow palettes. So this Zodiac palette I just recently purchased from Colourpop. I have not played around with it enough to pass it along. Then we have another Viseart Theory palette. I love my purples and my plums, so this is what the shadows are in this palette. The only shade I don't really enjoy is this one right here. I don't know why, it's just too like bright and pearly, but besides that, like, this is an amazing shimmer. I really love the purples and like the mauves, so this one I'm gonna keep. And I'm also gonna keep this little tiny miniature Natasha Denona palette, just because I just recently purchased it and I love the looks I come up with this palette. Oh man, I am definitely keeping more palettes than I intended to, so we're gonna have to go through this maybe pile in just a second and declutter all of those. See, the thing is, like, all these remaining palettes I think I'm gonna keep, because Juvia's Place has some amazing palettes that I love that are super affordable. So this is the Nubian palette. Beautiful, beautiful shimmers. I absolutely love this palette. Then we have the Saharan by Juvia's. This one I honestly don't really use that much, even though the pigmentation in all their shadow palettes are amazing. I think I'm gonna go ahead and declutter this one. And then this Nubian 2, I really do enjoy. It's a very different eyeshadow palette, and I really do like the sizes of the pans, so I'm gonna keep this one. And of course I'm gonna keep this one, the Masquerade by Juvia's Place, because it has amazingly fun colors, you know, and really good quality, and I do really enjoy this one. So I am actually happy. I think I decluttered 2 Juvia's Place palettes, the Zulu palette and the Saharan by Juvia's. So I think I did pretty good on those. So I'm only going to keep these 3 because these are my favorite by them. And next palette I'm also going to keep is the Jaclyn Hill palette by Morphe. Not like the biggest fan of Morphe eyeshadow palettes, but this one, I mean, you know, Jaclyn Hill is kind of a role model in the beauty community for a lot of people, and I used to watch her a lot. And the fact that, you know, I get to have something that she created is really amazing. And I do really like the pigmentation and the shadows and the formula and the arrangement of colors in this palette. It's very different, very unique. It does have a couple shades that I think are almost like repeat shades that don't have a lot of big of a like difference in shade and color. But besides that, you know, I do really enjoy this palette, and it's another one of those like souvenir palettes. Stack of 7 eyeshadow palettes remaining. These I believe I'm gonna keep all 7 of, just because these are like collector's items for me that I have been like collecting. This is the Disney and Snow White Besame Collection 1937 eyeshadow palette that they collabed with Disney with. This is what it looks like on the inside. It's just so precious. They extracted like the natural original colors from the 1937 Snow White movie, and it gives you a little bit background of the movie and the shadows. And this is definitely more of like a collector's item, and these are the shadows. And in all honesty, you guys, this is not the best like pigmentation of matte shadows whatsoever in my opinion, but I do really like Snow White. I love vintage Disney movies, and I just really wanted this palette, and so I'm gonna keep it. I don't really use it. I swatched it before and I've played with it a little bit, but I am trying to kind of preserve it so it kind of just lasts a while for me. And like I said, the pigmentation isn't like the best matte shadows I've ever used, but I just love the idea of this palette overall. The other one that's also a collector's item for me is the Disney Alice Through the Looking Glass palette, because I love Alice in Wonderland movies. I love Johnny Depp. I love the older Alice in Wonderland movies, and so this is one of their palettes that they came out with. And I really wanted the first one that ever came out, but I don't know, I kind of missed it and then couldn't find it. It's just like a piece of art more than even just a regular eyeshadow palette. It has a cute little butterfly on the middle, and then it has this drawer of eyeshadows that are really fun and funky. And I don't really use this palette because it is like a collector's item for me, but I just enjoy having it in my collection. So this is one I'm just gonna go ahead and keep. Alright, and the remaining 5 palettes are all by Natasha Denona. I adore her shadow formula and her eyeshadow palettes. The first one is the Tropic palette. This is what this one looks like. This is a newer release of hers from this year. Not the newest because she's came out with a few smaller palettes, but I really do enjoy this one. It has a couple fun pops of color and I really do enjoy this one. I also enjoyed this one, which is the Lila palette, and this one was the only eyeshadow palette from her that I was slightly on the disappointed side, just because I don't know what I was expecting. I love mauves, I love purples and plums, and so I don't know, I just thought it'd be more, I don't know what I thought, but this is the only palette that I was like a little bit disappointed with, but I still think most of the shadows are extremely amazing, and so I do use it every once in a while. I do really like the Sunset palette, even though I don't really use a lot of yellows and oranges. I still get a really nice look that is a little bit more neutral from this palette. And then one of my favorite palettes of hers is the Star palette. This is the most neutral, I would say, eyeshadow palette that she has, that I do wear for work a lot. It's a very easy, user-friendly palette. You know, you have a lot of neutrals, beautiful shimmers, and like glitter shades, and I just feel like this palette is really easy to use, very easily blendable shades, and I just really love this palette. And then the last one that I have that's all messy and dirty is the Blue and Purple palette, just because I love the combination of blue and purple together, and I have a huge amount of glitter and metallic shades available in this palette from her. Formula wise, they're absolutely all stunning. I do have a swatching video of this palette somewhere in my history, but I really do enjoy it, and I would always recommend her eyeshadow palettes, and I feel like it's just a preference of, colors, because the quality is always there. So that's it, my beauties. We did it. And so these are gonna be keep, and the only thing we have to do is go through this maybe pile. Oh no. So we're gonna go through this maybe pile really quickly, and then we'll go ahead and move on. So this Nikki Tutorials palette, I'm gonna go ahead and pass. This Tarte's Pro palette, I don't want to let go of this one because I do really love it, so I think I'm going to keep this one for a little bit longer just so I can use it up a little more. This Glam Metals palette, I think it's a really fun eyeshadow palette, so I'm going to keep it for a little bit longer. This Stila palette, I'm going to pass it along because I don't think I'm going to keep using it. Then we have the Jouer. I really like the packaging, it's pretty cute, and I haven't used it like that much, so I'm going to go ahead and keep this one. And then between these palettes, alright, I don't know, the Buxom one, I think I'm going to go ahead and pass along because I don't really use it. Then we have the e.l.f. Oh, I love this formula. This is one of my favorite matte formulas. And I honestly think I'm gonna go ahead and pass it along, even though I do love it. I might record like a favorite drugstore palette video before I let go of these, but it's definitely going in the declutter. Makeup Revolution, I really love this palette, so I am not gonna get rid of it just yet. It's super old, but I enjoy the looks that I come up with from this palette a lot, so I'm gonna keep this one even though it's so old. Then we have the Electric palette, and since I am giving the Laura Lee Neon palette away, I am gonna go ahead and keep this one, and for this one I'm gonna just pass it along because even though I do really enjoy it from the drugstore, I don't really get a lot of use out of it, so I'm gonna pass it along. Pile of decluttered eyeshadow palettes. I'm gonna go ahead and lay them out flat for you guys, and I'm honestly gonna do like a giveaway for you guys if you guys are interested in that. I've done it in the past. It was a huge success, and they are used palettes, but since I don't use them, I feel like a lot of you guys might get a lot of fun looks out of these palettes, and so I'm gonna go ahead and create a giveaway for you guys with this whole collection of decluttered palettes. Alright Alright, my beauties, so we are done. Thank you so much for joining me and for hanging out. I think we did pretty great. I actually added 2 other eyeshadow palettes into the declutter pile. And so I am going to be doing a slightly used eyeshadow palette giveaway for you guys. If you guys are interested, I will be putting that up maybe next weekend, so stay tuned. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I would love to have you here. I am so appreciative of every single one of you guys for hanging out with me and for spending this time and just, you know, enjoying all this like makeup, beauty, and creativity. And so that'd be it for today's video. You can also follow me on Instagram, superlady246 if you'd like, and I am sending you guys lots of love from me to you. Stay happy, stay positive, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Lots of love. Bye. Mwah.